I was stripped naked. I was washed there.
In the river?
The dress was washed. We sat there until the dress dried before we could go home. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, and I worked hard to be a lawyer. He would be like, I am in Uchumi. Do I buy Brookside or do I buy
KCC?
I'm like, my God.
No way.
We said a company secretary is an advisor to the board.
To the board, yeah.
In 2006, I was then requested by Shell to go and work in the UK.
Hey, I told you I'll be bringing very, very great guests here. And we have another one, brand new guest coming. Now this one, hey, you will not believe. She's a lawyer. She's a corporate governance expert. She has sat on many boards. She has been in executive. She has been a company secretary. She has been so many things. And above all, she's a wife and mother to 3. Welcome. Keep watching.
I was stripped naked. I was washed there.
In the river?
The dress was washed. We sat there until the dress dried before we could go home. This one seated here is my wife. My wife. You don't come past 9 o'clock expecting my wife to give you food.
Hello and welcome. My name is Mary Wamae, and this is the Executive Table. And I can tell you it's getting more and more exciting every single day. Today, I have a very exciting guest, and I'm sure by the end of it, you will agree with me. And we are having very serious conversations with Madam Catherine Musakali. Most of us know her as the Women on Boards lady. So you're going to know what the Women on Boards lady is made of in this session. Welcome. Catherine, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mary. It's long since I was called Madam Catherine.
Oh, but you are a madam. Hey, what do you mean?
Oga Madam.
Madam. So you're most welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we are really pleased to have you.
Thank you.
And looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Now, we have known you as the chair of Women on Boards and several other things that you do. Mm-hmm. But a lot of us do not know where you came from. So maybe a good place to start is just tell us, pole, where you came from, those growing up days, how they were like, and then we continue from there. Wow,
Mary, how much time do you have?
As much time as we require to have this conversation.
Okay, great.
We are here.
So I was born in Western Kenya, Bungoma County to be exact. I grew up on a farm, a family of 10 children. I always tell people, don't try that now. A family of 10. My father was a teacher. My mother was a housewife, looked after us at home. But I grew up, and I'm the second last born in our family. I grew up in a home that, we laughed throughout. We had our fun moments. We were very strong on family, and we always came together as family. One of the things that my father institutionalized very early, and I think that is where my love for governance came from, was that during holidays, my father designated himself the president of our home. And my father said to my mother, you're the vice president and minister for home affairs.
Wow.
You remember the Mwai Kibaki days?
Yes.
Minister for home affairs, right?
Yes.
So that was my mother. My brothers and sisters had ministerial posts. So we had Minister for Agriculture, we had Minister for Finance, Minister for Education. That's why some of us went to school. And in the evenings, first my father would start off with the boys, and he would stay with the boys. I have 4 brothers. So he would stay with the boys in the living room, and they were talking men stuff. That was mentorship, right?
Yeah.
And my mother would stay with us in the kitchen, and we would talk girl stuff. And we would then have dinner as a family. We would then come together for prayers as a family, all together, all of us. And then we would have cabinet sessions.
What?
Yes. So my
cabinet session in Bungoma?
Family.
Wow.
Around the fireplace. So our living room had a fireplace, so the fire would be lit. And my father would formally open the meeting as the president of the home.
So where are you sitting that time now?
We are sitting around the living room.
Wow.
Yeah, around the living room. He's sitting. Actually, he and my mother would sit the way you and I are seated, and the fireplace is there.
All of you are there.
All of us are now seated on the other side.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he would start asking for reports from his ministers. Minister for Agriculture, what did you do today? Minister for
Serious
Finance.
guy.
I am telling you, he was a school teacher, but he was governance, strong on it. So you would have debates like, you know, the Minister for Finance did not avail the fund, so we did not pay the workers in the fund. Minister for Education would be like, Catherine has completed her secondary school, her primary school is going into, you know, that type of thing.
Were there any austerity measures
Yes.
from the Minister of Finance?
That's
what we know.
Christmas budgets were done by the Minister for Finance. In fact, let me tell you a story. The Minister for Finance used to budget for all of us for Christmas. All of us had to have a new outfit for Christmas. The boys, the girls would have a new dress, a new outfit for Christmas. And I remember this one time. I was bought a pretty dress after the budget had been done. Pretty dress. And we were supposed to attend the Christmas mass, right? So the church, before you get to the church, you had to cross a river. So my brother and I, the brother who comes immediately before me, was going, the two of us were going to church together with my sister, who's a little older than us. So we reached the river and it had rained the previous night. And we had to cross the river. And here is little Catherine, who cannot cross the river.
On her own.
On her own, because I'm very small.
Yeah.
So my sister says to my brother, okay, let me cross the river and then you throw her to me.
Throw the child to me.
Throw the child to me. I swear very.
Oh my goodness.
Throw the child to me. So my brother, remember he's just 4 years older than me.
Yes.
I am about 4 years old, so he's about 8.
Yes.
He gets hold of me, and of
so
course...
he's the one out to hold you and throw you to the sister
throw me across
on the other
to the
side.
sister, yes. Remember, the child, you hold the child with the face facing up, not the other way. So he throws me across. You know what happened?
No.
I landed in the
into the river with your Christmas vest.
My new dress for
my
Christmas.
Goodness. What?
So my sister is like, what am I going to do? I'm the 9th born.
What
so
are you going to tell the president?
Proud of me and loves me to bits. Of course, he loves all his children, but I'm still young, you know.
Yeah.
What am I going to tell the president? My dress was, I was stripped naked. I was washed there.
In the river.
The dress was washed. We sat there until the dress dried before we could go home. Because nobody wanted punishment.
And now
by
church
the
is over already.
Church is
Time
over. Of course, we
images.
didn't finish.
Yeah.
We didn't go to church.
Yes.
So I grew up in that home where family was, we were big on family.
No,
we
you
still,
have to tell us what happened when you got home. First of all, the parents have not seen you in
church. Yes.
So how did that conversation go now with them? Although you are still very young.
Yes.
Yeah?
Credit, and this is what now they told me.
They
Credit
told you.
to my father. He was a disciplinarian, but he was very loving.
Yes.
So my sister took it upon herself to go and say, you know what? This is what happened. But because she was upfront about it,
she didn't try to hide.
She did not try to hide.
Yeah.
Don't try to hide anything from my father.
And you will find out.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So she said it up front, and she was told, never ever try this again, blah, blah, blah. And that was it.
Please don't try this at home.
Please don't try this at home. So that's how I grew up.
But
loving,
you know, just going back on that point,
Yes.
isn't that what sort of like spiced up life? you know, growing up out there in the
Absolutely.
villages and, you know,
I love the
diverse,
village.
I mean. And we have so many of those stories that
Yes.
will light up, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
I'm sure after that you'd sit, you know, around a fire
Yes.
and laugh over it.
Absolutely.
The whole family. It now becomes very funny, you
We
know.
still do. We laugh over it.
Yes.
Believe it or not,
Yes.
because we were so big on family and we met every so often. Up to now, my siblings and I and our spouses meet every month.
Oh, wow.
Yes, every month without fail.
Wow.
We meet because of that
closeness.
that closeness.
You really gelled and
Yes.
bonded very well.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
But, you know, that was really the foundation of my governance journey.
Yes.
Because my father was teaching me governance. Now, I never had a ministerial post. Perhaps I didn't tell you
I was
that.
going to say, maybe you are made the Attorney General or something like that. Or constitutional affairs.
No way, that never happened, never happened. So,
okay.
remember I said I was 9th born in our family.
Yes.
So I was pretty young.
You are still young.
I was still young. And my father said, you know, you have to earn this position.
Yes.
And because you're still young, I am going to make you my minute taker. I am not surprised that I became company secretary, Mary. So I would walk around following my father, taking his notes. You know, growing up in the village, if you had, for example, a cow or 2 cows and your
Yes.
neighbor had nothing,
Yes.
what would you do? You would take your 1 cow, give it to your neighbor so that they can enjoy the milk. And when it had a calf, then you took back your cow and you left them.
with the
You
calf.
didn't sell it, you
Yes.
gave it to them.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So there I learned kindness. But I would be the one following my father around saying, the gray cow is in so and so's.
So and so.
So and so.
And
I still have those
and it
notes.
is expecting.
It is expecting. It
in
is.
this
So I would
month.
be reporting on that during our
Aha.
cabinet meetings.
Wow.
It was
wow.
amazing.
So that taught you responsibility from a very
Absolutely.
high, tender age. And I guess when your brothers and your sisters, you know, the older ones, when they are discussing their affairs and their reports, you are also listening, you are learning, you're hearing the comments from the president.
Yes.
When he's happy, you know. When he's
Yes.
not happy, you know. And
Yes.
why?
Yes.
Amazing. That's
Absolutely. And
amazing.
the other one I learned from them was how he treated my mother.
Yes.
And I remember one time, Mary, my brothers, my 2 older brothers, I don't know who gave them alcohol. I have no clue. You know, we had rules at home. One of the rules was past 9 p.m., don't come home.
Curfew at night.
Stay where you are. So my brothers, I don't know who gave them alcohol, and they turned up at 9 p.m. Cabinet meeting was going on.
And
They are coming singing. Hey. So my father, the door was opened, they came in, he told them, go and sleep. So they went and slept. The next day, very early in the morning, he calls them, come. Okay, he's sitting there and he had 2 ropes. So he gives each one of them 1 rope and he says, go to the boma where the cows are, the ngombes are, and each of you should come with any one of them, whether bull or cow, whichever, come with any one of them. So my brothers go and they're like, so what is going on? They come, they drag, they pick.
they come with the cows.
My father says to them, okay, this one seated here is my wife. My wife. You don't come past 9 o'clock expecting my wife to give you food.
To open the door for you and to give you food.
This cow is for dowry. Go and bring that girl who will do that work for you. You know, the drops just dropped. Because they were not ready to
They were
marry,
not
of
expecting
course.
this. But they are being told, there's your place.
This is my wife, not
And
yours.
this is my home.
My home and my wife.
Don't forget.
Don't forget.
What? They would never dare to do that again.
You know, we sit now and laugh over those stories.
But don't you love also the way our parents had this, way of passing across a very serious message,
Yes, absolutely.
but in a very interesting way.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, he didn't need to even,
he
cane
didn't.
them, or which he could have done.
Which he could have done.
But the way he passed that message to
Absolutely.
them, they'll never forget.
They won't forget.
They'll never
I mean, we
forget.
still remember if we slaughtered a cow, if we slaughtered a chicken. I still remember being told, take this to neighbor so-and-so,
Yeah.
a piece.
Yes.
To neighbor so-and-so.
Yeah.
That thing still remains with me today. Being
Yeah.
kind, being,
Yes.
Sharing.
Caring for the
Yeah.
others in the community.
He gave us amazing lessons.
And that empathy, sitting, getting into somebody else's shoes, and
Absolutely.
trying to
Absolutely.
understand their circumstances and
Yeah.
wondering, okay, what can
Yeah.
I do for this
Absolutely. Yeah. So
person?
from there, I went to school, secondary
you go
school,
to
my
school?
high school. Oh, sorry, primary or high school?
Primary school.
Primary school was a school in Western Kenya called Misihu Girls.
Yes.
I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, and I worked hard to be a lawyer. The company secretary's fiduciary duties are more or less like the
Like the one
fiduciary
of a
duties
director.
of the board.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
From there, I went to school, secondary
you go
school,
to
my
school?
high school. Oh, sorry, primary or high school?
Primary school.
Primary school was a school in Western Kenya called Misihu Girls.
Yes.
So passed my exams, and I was called to Loreto Limuru. I was in Loreto Limuru for 6 years.
From 1 to Form 6.
Yes, so I did Form 1 to 4, passed, went back to Form 5 for Form 5 and 6. Amazing place, loved the nuns. Of course, they had their rules. And you know how nuns are, eh?
Yeah.
So had their rules and all. I remember when we had like innings, being a Busherian, you knew about the innings, eh?
Yes.
So we would have maybe the boys come in, bush or patch or lenana, so on and so forth. And the nuns will be there supervising the dances, eh? You're not to dance too close, eh?
Yeah, they are Chinese walls.
The Chinese ones,
as we call them.
don't get too close,
Well, during COVID,
Yeah.
we used to say how many feet.
I don't know, 5 feet
It
or
was,
whatever it was.
Yeah, 2 meters.
Yes, 2 meters
It was
apart,
supposed to be 1.5 or 2 meters.
Absolutely.
So the nuns used to enforce that long before COVID.
They used to enforce that. It was amazing. It built us up. The school really built us up as people. Values, drilled in us values, but at the same time taught us the value of hard work. Yeah. So worked hard and was called to law school. Yeah. And I became a lawyer.
Now, let me ask you, was law school your choice, or how did you actually end up doing law? Because a lot of people ask, okay, so how do I get into the law program to become a lawyer? So was it by choice, or how did that happen?
Okay. So law school was my choice. And it became my choice because remember I said I was to follow my father around and I would take his minutes.
And you are the minute taker.
I was the minute taker. And I was told in school that lawyers make very good company secretaries. So right from Form 1, I wanted to be a lawyer.
You knew you wanted to be a lawyer.
I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, and I worked hard to be a lawyer. In fact, I really wanted to be a lawyer so badly that in my own view, I did not put in effort in the science classes.
Because you knew what you wanted.
Because I knew what I wanted. I'm like, you're wasting time.
Engineer,
Maths,
doctor,
no.
You are not interested.
So I remember this one time, my maths teacher, he was called Mr. Sewe. I think he knew my potential, but he knew I had a mental block or something against maths. Law. Yeah. So he gets these sharp girls in school, and he decides, Catherine, you're going to join that group. You know those focus groups, discussion groups. I'm like, maths, these girls ace it in maths. Why are you putting me there? I know what you're capable of. I thank God for that, because it pulled me and made sure that I also performed well in maths. I also did well in the sciences, but I really wanted to become a lawyer. So I chose law as the first program, and luckily I got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it is actually true that even when you look at the performance of even our children in school, we always say that success is mostly the mindset. Absolutely. It's how you view, because that also it shapes the way you think about the effort you put and the confidence in your ability. Absolutely. So that's what you are telling me happened.
Absolutely, because I chemistry, physics, I could do them, but I had this block because I was so focused on this.
Yes, and
so when I was put like the tea bag, you put in hot water,
and
you then come out.
The taste comes out.
The taste comes out. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So now you've gone to the law school, to the law class. Tell us about that. How was life in the law school?
Well, we were the first class in Parklands, because before that, law used to be at main campus.
In the main campus of the University of Nairobi.
University of Nairobi.
Yes.
So we were the first group that went to Parklands.
You were one class behind us.
Yes.
Because us we went to Parklands in second year. And you guys went to first year.
First year, absolutely.
Yeah,
So the girls, there were hostels there. Remember, it was a government secretarial training college. Yeah? So they had hostels there. But I didn't want to stay in campus.
Why?
I didn't want to stay in
Parklands.
Parklands. I wanted to stay in the University of Nairobi.
The university, main campus. You are in box.
Yes.
Oh,
so
okay.
It didn't sound like
University
of Nairobi. Yeah? So I wanted to stay in campus. I mean, in main campus. So I chose to stay in box. And I remember the mornings. Of course, there was a bus that would take us to campus, to Parklands every day. Yes. But I chose not to take the bus because I just wanted to savor the University of Nairobi. So I would walk from box all the way through Chiromo to Parklands. It was nice. Up to museum, so on and so forth. And we were really tight with my classmates. I know that our classmates. We still are very tight. In fact, we keep on saying that your savings group was borrowed from us, although you took it.
Oh, MV90. MV90 was our creation.
We keep saying it was ours.
You
stole the idea.
We stole from you. And then we ran with it. We executed.
You executed. We are still at the execution stage, but we will get there.
Wow, wonderful.
So we had great classmates, still bonded very well. So we would walk, most of us, across. Some of us got married to each other.
Yes.
Some of us just remained friends. We had amazing lecturers at the University of Nairobi. I still remember the Ghanaian, Mr. Achengpong. I remember this time Achengpong made me go to his office. And you know what? It's because we were making fun of him. It wasn't very nice. We were not making fun of him. We were making fun of one other classmate. And he caught us laughing.
Wow.
And he thought that we were laughing at him. So he made us go.
Some mischief.
So he made us go to his office. And he asked us what it was. That is a lesson that I use up to today. When you're attending a board meeting, don't get into side shows.
Yes.
Don't get into side conversations. Focus on the agenda.
Yes.
Because the chair there doesn't know what you're talking about. When you're passing notes, the chair thinks you're passing a note about him.
Yes.
That's what Achengpong thought.
Taught you. Yeah, it was
He thought that was what we were doing. But we were just laughing about something else.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was amazing. He took offense, amazing, from law school from University of Nairobi to law school. Again, we came into the current dental school.
For School of Law.
School of Law.
Yeah, the Council of Legal Training.
Absolutely. And I think, again, we were the first class there.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
Yes.
Now, tell me, because now you talked about having that dream and wanting to become the company secretary. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Did you really understand what it meant to be a company secretary at that time?
Yeah.
But I also realized, I served as company secretary for 15 years.
Yes, I know.
And what shocked me,
Yeah.
after serving 15 years, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking, wow, I'm in this elevated
Yes.
position in a big bank, only to realize that some people thought company secretary was, that person who takes the calls in the office, answers the calls,
Yeah.
and, books
Shorthand.
appointments, and does shorthand
Yes.
typing
Yes. Yes.
for the boss. That's what I realized after I had left the role.
What?
So please, can you explain to us
Yes.
what a company secretary does? What does that role entail?
Mary, you're absolutely right. And that is the reason why ICS, the Institute for Certified Secretaries, also had to focus on. Remember, I became chair of the Institute at some point.
Yes.
And I realized that the public out here thinks that that is what a company secretary does.
Yes.
Even taking minutes is not really the biggest role of the company secretary. So what does a company secretary do? A company secretary is that advisor for the board. The to-go-to person in matters governance to the board. The person that the board members turn to when they need clarity on a certain issue, on governance matters. Yes, a big part of the role involves you preparing for the meetings, ensuring that the board members have all they need in order to make those critical decisions. But the company secretary walks around in the mind of the board member. In other words, you go to management and say, you want the budget approved. These are the questions that the board is going to ask.
Yes.
So can you make sure you address them in these papers? Yeah? You prepare them so that the papers that you're handing over to the board are papers that they can use. So you're more or less like a board member without the title of a board member.
An advisor.
You're an advisor to the board. You are a servant of the board. You report directly to the board. You may have an administrative line to the CEO, but the solid line is to the chairman
of the board.
Absolutely.
And also ensure at all times the board is compliant with any regulations that they need to be aware of, and you are putting them on the straight line when necessary.
Yes, yes.
Isn't it also true that it is the company secretary, are they a member of the board, technically speaking?
And that's a question that has come up several times. Strictly speaking, they're not a member of the board. They are a servant of the board.
Yes.
But when you look at the law, the company secretary's fiduciary duties are more or less like the fiduciary duties of the board. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. The same. And in fact, when you look at the law, most of the time it says, when it refers to the officers of the company, they're referring to the company secretary. So that is how I would look at it.
Wow, wonderful. So now you've gone to the School of Law.
Yes.
And I imagine you got admitted.
Yes. Yes.
As an advocate, and you got that. Did we call it a diploma in law or something? Very prestigious.
Very prestigious. Yeah. But the worst for me was trust accounts. Did you like trust accounts?
I loved it. I love trust accounting. Actually, I was the teacher.
Where?
So my classmates used to come. We used to sit out there in the grass.
Yeah.
And then now things are so tough for them. Me, I'm just doing debit, credit. And I used to show them, when you do credit on this side, you do debit on this side. The two have to balance. So I used to be their teacher.
We said a company secretary is an advisor to the board.
To the board, yeah.
The day I got my appointment letter, I had less than a month to go to get my firstborn.
You were pregnant?
I was pregnant.
Heavily?
So, heavily pregnant. So did you love trust accounts?
I loved it. So actually, I was the teacher for my classmates because a lot of them hated trust accounts in School of Law. So what to do, we'll go to the grass.
They were in my WhatsApp group.
Yeah. So then, I would just tell them. What I don't remember is whether I charged them for the service. I should have asked for something. Yeah, I should have asked them for something, for tutorship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then I'll tell them, for every debit, there has to be a credit. So make sure when you put a number on this side, credit, you have to debit on the other side.
Absolutely.
So that it balances.
Yes.
And they used to love me. They used to call me Mwalimu wa hesabu. But I really enjoyed it. And I passed all of them first round. A lot of them struggled.
Yes.
So some actually had to repeat the trust accounts paper.
You know, I thank God that I also passed all of them first time.
Yeah.
What my father taught me is, even if you hate something, put your best foot forward.
Yeah, put effort.
Put effort.
Yes.
So I thank God that I was able to ace it the first time. I passed all the papers the first time. But I never loved trust accounts.
There's a lesson there for the young people. Because, some people ask, what is the relevance of, mathematics and accounting to a lawyer? See, I'm going to become a lawyer. Why do I need accounting?
Yeah.
But then when you look at the practice of law and all the other offices you can do with a law degree, you will need to, first of all, manage clients' money, manage your own office if you set up on your own like I did for a while. Their expenses, their incomes and revenues, all those dynamics, they matter. And you're also managing money that belongs to somebody else. So it is very relevant. And that's why we keep on saying, step out of your comfort zone, because law is your comfort zone, but make sure you can do accounting, you can, talk about HR, you can talk a little bit about technology, all those things matter. So that's the lesson.
Absolutely. And also, giving. Mary, as you say, for company secretaries, we said a company secretary is an advisor to the board.
To the board, yeah.
There are financials which are going to come to the board.
Yes.
You must understand those numbers.
You must know what, all those debits and credits.
You must understand those debits and credits. You must understand how the business makes money.
Yeah. The value drivers.
The value drivers for each business. Yeah.
Is the company sustainable?
Absolutely.
Or do you need to advise on something?
Absolutely.
You're also responsible sometimes for reporting to the regulator, some returns and all that.
Yes.
It is important that we learn all these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's good. Thanks for clarifying the role.
Thank you.
So please, next time, don't tell me the company secretary is the one who answers the boss's calls. No. It's far from that. Absolutely. It's a bit more prestigious to be a company secretary.
And it's great.
Now, tell us about your interest in governance, because now we know you as a corporate governance specialist and expert, and I know for sure you love it with,
I love it to bits.
Yes. So tell me about that. How did that happen?
After law school, Mary, I don't know how to tarmac. I never tarmacked.
You never looked for a job?
I never looked for a job.
Wow, you're lucky.
Because I got my first job when I was in law school.
Wow.
I was UAP. It was then called Provincial Insurance. And I got the job as their first company secretary.
Wow.
Head of legal. Head of legal. They didn't have a legal department before me. They asked me to come in and set up that office. And I worked directly under the managing director and the deputy. Mr. Mugoe, James Mugoe, if you know him, was the deputy. Michael Wenbach was the MD.
Oh.
Those two gentlemen taught me a lot about governance. We didn't have a company secretary for some strange reason, but they taught me a lot about governance. I started to, it's like my love for governance was reignited. Remember at home?
Yes.
It was all governance.
You had the roots already.
Absolutely.
Yes, the foundation.
So I worked at Provincial Insurance for 5 years. Then I was recruited into Shell. Actually was headhunted into Shell, the company. And I was headhunted into Shell to become the deputy of the company secretary of Shell then.
Yes.
When I joined Shell, that was in 97. 3 months after that, the then company secretary left. And I had not done company secretarial before, but the managing director told me, you're going to become the company secretary. I'm like, okay, this is it. This is what I have always wanted.
Were you excited?
Of course I was excited. I was excited, but I was scared. Now let me tell you what was scaring me most. When she left, she had not done the minutes for the last board meeting. What? And she left and she didn't do the minutes for the board meeting. So the managing director calls me and says, Catherine, George Minor, if you know him.
I remember George.
George Minor calls me and says, Catherine, you're going to be the company secretary, and you and I are going to do the minutes for the last board meeting. I'm like, I didn't attend. I don't even know what went on. And he said, we are going to do the minutes.
We need minutes.
We need minutes. We need the board to approve the minutes. I was in that meeting. There are board papers here. You and I are going to sit together and piece together the minutes. So again, the formal governance that I loved so much, that was triggered under Mugui and Mike Owenberg, was again re-triggered with my current managing director, George Minor. So I became company secretary of Shell a few months after I joined. But let me tell you another story about Shell. It was a very interesting join because when I was headhunted into Shell, the day I got my appointment letter, I had less than a month to go to get my firstborn.
You were pregnant?
I was pregnant.
Heavily?
So heavily pregnant with my firstborn. Not heavily, but I used to...
1 month is heavily.
But I was very small. I used to weigh myself and wonder, where is this baby? I had made mother dresses. By the time he was not coming, but anyway, there was a baby. So I go to the HR of Shell. He was called Olesapai. He passed on. May God rest his soul in peace. And I said to him, I am a month to go, less than a month to go, actually 3 weeks to go.
Yes.
Can I just continue with my current role, go on maternity leave, and then I'll come?
When I come back, I start the new role.
I'll start the new role. He's like, no, we need you now. I'm like, less than 3 weeks. He said, no, come. So guess what? He told me, come. When you need to go on maternity leave, you will go, and we will pay you. So first and foremost, they paid the notice period to UAP because they didn't want me to give notice, so they paid.
So they wanted you immediately, like today.
Like today. So I come, I joined on 1st of December 97, and on 23rd of December 97, I was having my firstborn.
Wow.
Yes.
Just a few weeks later.
A few weeks later, I'm having my firstborn. I'm like, Sapai, I told you this. He's like, it's okay. Just have the baby. We will wait for you.
How long did you stay in UAP?
I stayed in UAP for 5 years. And it was very intentional also. Because remember those days, you only got your employer's contribution of, those pension funds after 5 years.
Yes.
So I got my employers.
So you are now counting year 5. I'm gone.
And luckily, then I was headhunted at that time.
Yeah, then you got another job.
I got another job and I went into Shell.
I'm asking you this because we are trying to uncover the reason why a company like Shell will tell you, come on board, and yet you are not available for the next 3-4 months.
Yes.
We are ready to wait for you.
Yeah.
What makes a company do that to you? What are the traits that you must exhibit for a company, an employer, to get to that point where they say, we are willing to pay notice, first of all, for you to move now, and you're pregnant, 3 weeks to go, but we'll wait for you. Tell us.
In 2006, I was then requested by Shell to go and work in the UK. He would be like, I am in Uchumi. Do I buy Brookside or do I buy
KCC?
KCC? I'm like, my God.
No way. We are trying to uncover the reason why a company like Shell will tell you, come on board, and yet you are not available for the next 3-4 months.
Yes.
We are ready to wait for you.
Yeah.
What makes a company do that to you? What are the traits that you must exhibit for a company, an employer, to get to that point where they say, we are willing to pay notice, first of all, for you to move now, and you're pregnant, 3 weeks to go, but we'll wait for you.
Yes.
Tell us.
So first and foremost, you have to be top talent.
Yes.
You have to demonstrate. You must have demonstrated some skill in the market that they are looking for.
Yes.
Remember, I didn't know Shell was looking for somebody to employ.
Yes.
The HR manager just called me up and introduced himself and said, my name is so-and-so, I'm calling you from Shell, and we want to interview you for this position. And when they interviewed me, I was around 4 months pregnant. And so I went into the interview and I said to them, I'm 4 months pregnant. It's okay, we'll go through the process. But I think they were willing to bet on me because there were certain things that I had done in UAP which were visible across industry, not just for UAP.
Yes.
At that point in time, I was also my employer's representative in AKI, Association of Kenya Insurers.
Wow.
I was just about 5 years into my first job, but I was already representing my employer there. And so my profile has started to show outside of my employer. So I think some of those things, wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, just do your best. Show up. And you know, do your best.
Yeah, so guys, what Catherine is telling us is wherever you are, identify the networks that you can belong to that are going to make you, first of all, challenge you to keep on improving in your role, and secondly, that gives you the right visibility. So people know Catherine is in UAP, and she's doing a fantastic job in terms of doing ABCD. You create a reputation. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Absolutely, and in fact, I will build on to that in my later roles as well. So I joined Shell.
Yeah.
I go on maternity leave. I come back, company secretary, learning on the job, and yeah, life goes on. Now in Shell, and Shell was of course a big company. You never rose up the rank to regional roles unless you did a cross-border posting. Never.
What does that mean?
That means that you leave your cultural environment and you go into another culture and you get immersed into that other culture.
And you do well there.
You do well there because then that will give them the comfort that you understand multicultural issues.
Yes.
Right? So it was an unwritten rule. Before they promote you to a regional level, you really must have had experience outside. That's why people like Patrick Obath, who's ex-Shell as well, he's worked in so many countries. It's because they were testing him to be able to reach the
his ability to adapt also.
Yeah. So in 2006, I was then requested by Shell to go and work in the UK because they were now aiming at giving me an Africa-wide
responsibility
role. At that point in time, I was just looking after Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania.
Yes.
But my line manager, it was structured in such a way that my line manager was not the managing director. It was somebody who was sitting in the UK. And my mentor, because Shell also gave you a mentor, my mentor was also in the UK. So they wanted me to go and work in the UK. At that point in time, I'm on baby number
3.
Baby number 3.
Umeenda haraka.
97 and 2000.
Was it that fast?
Wait, that's a long time. So, but the beauty about having them early and quickly, you move on with
you
life.
finish with that agenda.
So I'm on baby number 3.
Number 3.
So I received this call from my line manager in the UK who tells me, Catherine, this year we want you to come to the UK for your short-term assignment.
Yes.
I'm like, yes. And then a few months down the road, I'm like, oops, I am pregnant. Baby number 3. So I go to Patrick Obath and I said, Patrick, I'm not sure I can take on this role in the UK. He's like, why? Because I'm pregnant. He said,
so?
Is that a sickness?
So what?
What's wrong with you? Just go to, you know Patrick?
Yeah.
Just go to your line manager and tell the line manager you're having a baby. You'll finish having the baby in 9 months. The baby will come. It's definite. You can do a few, maybe a year in Kenya, and then you postpone it to next year. Go and tell him that. So the point here is sometimes it's good to listen to other people.
Yes.
Because people see things differently.
Yes.
I was seeing a
big
wall.
problem.
I was seeing a big problem.
Yes.
I was like, this opportunity, I've missed it.
It's
Fish
gone.
are gone. And you know in Shell, you can't rise until you have done it. Yeah?
Yes.
So he says, go and tell him you
But
want
he
to
gives
postpone
you a
it.
solution and
Yes.
says, if you do this,
Go and tell him.
go around that wall like
Absolutely.
this. It will happen. Yeah.
So I go to my line manager and I say, I'm having a baby. Can I then come, the year after? He's like, fine. That's no problem.
And you are seeing a big issue.
I was seeing a big issue. I was like, these men, they're seeing things I'm not seeing.
That you're
as a
not
woman.
seeing. We'll talk about the male perspective
Absolutely.
soon.
So I have my baby.
Yeah.
My baby is a year old. And then I now take up that assignment. And by the way, Shell asks me, do you want to go with your baby? Do you want to go with your other 2 children? Do you want to go with your spouse, your husband? I'm like, okay, yeah.
So you went, all of you?
So we went, all of us. I was given a flat in London.
What?
4-bedroom flat because I had 2 boys and a girl. So 4-bedroom, But, so we went to the UK, all of us, the first time we went, all of us, to the UK to stay. But we discussed, because it was a short-term assignment, my husband and I agreed that the boys would come back to school, would come back with him
to Kenya.
to school. Yeah,
okay.
And that's because Shell again would fund the tickets either to or from London.
Okay.
So during holidays, they would be able to
visit
come.
you. Okay.
And in between, at that point in time, I was also company secretary for KPRL because Shell had an investment in KPRL.
Yes.
So I would come back for Shell board meetings and I would come back for KPRL board meetings. So I could see my family almost monthly.
Quite often.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we decided with my husband that he would come back with the boys and I would stay with my daughter. Hey, shock on me. So we stayed, we got a house help who was Ugandan. And, well, baby minder, not house help. That's what they were called. So my husband, for the 1 month that we were there, December, I would go to work and he would predominantly stay in the house with her. When it was time to go home, he's like, you know what, I'm going with this girl. I'm like, what? What do you mean? It's like, but you won't manage. This is a child minder. This is not a house help. Because it will mean that you do everything.
Because he's been helping you.
Yes.
Now there will be no one to help you.
There will be no one to help.
And you have a baby.
I have a baby. And those child minders are not like our house helps who do everything. You know, you're going to clean, you're going to...
Yeah.
If the role is to mind the baby, it is to mind the baby. He would have to get the milk for her. He would have to do the food and everything for her to do it. So he's like, I'm going back with this girl. So he came back with my daughter and my 2 sons. And, I remember the calls. That time Uchumi was still there. He would be like, I am in Uchumi. Do I buy Brookside or do I buy
KCC?
KCC. I'm like, my God.
No way.
Yes.
Poor guy.
Yes. What do I buy? So I didn't mind those calls because he was really supportive.
Wow.
So for me, the other lesson is that if you have a support system at home,
yes,
you can really do
life
well.
becomes so easy.
Life becomes
Yeah,
easier. So I didn't mind those calls.
I
didn't mind I don't know who has done what. I was perpetually on the phone, but I didn't mind because he was really doing his best to support
in your absence.
to support and to help. So finished my assignment in the UK, came back, and came back into the country. Fast forward, Shell decided to sell its business in Africa. And of course, before I left Shell then, when I came back, I was given the bigger role that I was looking for.
The African role.
The African role.
It.
So I was responsible for legal matters and company secretaries in East Africa, in North Africa. Hey, that's another story.
Yeah.
North Africa and, Ethiopia, Eritrea, so on and so forth. Then Shell decided to divest its business in Kenya and in the rest of Africa.
Before we go to the divestiture, I think the message I'm getting there is in the journey to the upward journey as you get ahead.
Yes.
There are some sacrifices.
Oh, yes.
To be made.
Absolutely.
Because you get this the idea sometimes we think it's a smooth ride.
Oh, it's not.
It can never be a smooth ride, and sometimes you actually have to sacrifice, make big sacrifices. You are in London, the rest of your family is in Nairobi.
Yeah.
And you are conducting everything virtually. All the affairs are being done virtually.
There was no Zoom.
And that time there was no Zoom actually.
Absolutely.
Or those video calls.
Yeah.
But that's really amazing. That's really great.
And she looks at me and she turns away.
What? Like, who are you? Who are you?
Who are you? And so my first client
was
as
Kenya
an external
Airways.
Yes, was Kenya Airways.
There are some sacrifices to be made.
Absolutely.
Because you get this the idea sometimes we think it's a smooth ride.
Oh, it's not.
It can never be a smooth ride, and sometimes you actually have to sacrifice, make big sacrifices. You are in London, the rest of your family is in Nairobi.
Yeah.
And you are conducting everything virtually. All the affairs are being done virtually.
There was no Zoom.
And that time there was no Zoom actually.
Absolutely.
Or those video calls. Yeah, but that's very amazing. That's really great.
It is true. You have to make sacrifices because you have to ask yourself, what is my priority?
Yes.
And that helped me come to the conclusion that there is nothing called work-life balance. It's about choices.
Yes.
If I wanted to progress in my career, that is a sacrifice I had to make.
And to get the position you are eyeing,
Absolutely.
you have to go to the UK.
Absolutely.
And do your bit there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And feel lonely.
If you miss that opportunity,
Yes.
you've missed it forever.
Mary, in fact, you remind me, when you talk about sacrifice, you remind me of the first time that they had to come back. So schools are opening in Kenya.
And the shock of even your baby is also going.
Yes, my baby is going. My baby is a year old. So she's going back. A year plus now. She's going back, and the boys are also going back. The father is going back. So we get, I take them to Heathrow. And remember, I have a 4-bedroomed house.
Yes.
Flat in the middle of London.
Yes.
In fact, I remember Margaret Thatcher had a friend next door, so she used to come. I used to
come and visit.
Want to see.
You are peeping.
Yes, peeping. Ibri Street, it was called.
Yes.
So I take them to Heathrow. I cried myself back
to the house,
to the flat. Everybody has gone. They have left me.
What do you do with 4
on
rooms?
the train? I think I decided not to take a cab. I decided to take a train back because I was on my own.
You wanted it to take more time to get home?
I wanted to get, yes. I cried throughout. Now I come into the room, I'm literally walking into every room and looking under the bed.
They are not here.
They're not here. And maybe there's somebody else hiding under there. It was a difficult time. So sacrifice.
Yes.
Hard work.
Yes.
But it was well worth it.
Yes.
And I remember that there are times I would come home and, you know, I feel like I'm not going back. Or they would come and I'm like, why don't you guys just
You're not
stay?
going away now. You're not leaving me here.
You're not leaving me here. Let me tell you my worst story about that assignment. My worst story was that the first time they came back, I did not have a board meeting in between. So I did not get the journey, I mean the
usual
trip to come
trip
and
to
see
come
them.
back.
So they were
Yes.
coming back after 3 months.
Wow.
My daughter is about a year and a few months.
Yes.
So she comes back, I go to meet them at Heathrow, and she looks at me and she turns away.
What? Like, who are you? Who are you?
Who are you? You know? She turns away. Her
That
father
can
is carrying
kill
her.
you.
And she turns away, and I was like, what is going on here?
So you go to hold her and
She turns away. Where, Mary, that killed me. So that sacrifice.
Your
and
own
then
daughter.
I came back after some time, and at one point I had her calling my house help, Mom.
Mom, you can die.
You can die. You can die. You can die.
So what did you deal with? How did you deal with that?
We became close. After I came back, we're very close now. We've talked about it. We've made up.
Wow.
We are very close. But what you talked about,
Yeah.
the sacrifice.
The sacrifices.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's never about balance.
No.
It's
I mean, the
choices you
reality
make.
of it is
You make the
sometimes
bed.
it's either this
Exactly.
or this.
You make the bed, you sleep in it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You sleep in it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess it's also about trying to see how you can compensate here and there, you know, later on as
Yes.
things start flowing.
Absolutely. We
Yeah.
are bestest of friends
Okay, now tell us about the divestiture by Shell.
All right. Yeah. So Shell decides to divest its business in Africa, Kenya included. And so I left Shell. I took the handshake. But that was a very difficult moment as well. Why? Because remember, I was company secretary and head of legal.
Yes.
When Shell decided to divest out of Kenya, the employees took Shell to court.
Yes, I remember that
You
case.
remember that
and
case?
it was prolonged. It was holding the merger.
Yes, it was holding the
Yes,
merger.
yes.
Now, who is the advisor to the board?
You,
Myself.
Catherine.
Company secretary and advisor to the board. Who is the head of legal, and therefore who is giving instructions to the lawyers?
How to deal with the employment and all that.
That's me. But I am also an employee. Those things that they are fighting for,
You have an interest
I
in the
also
matter.
want those things.
Yeah.
But my job requires me to defend
The company.
company. Where, Mary? That was one of the most difficult things in my
was
career.
tough.
It was tough. Luckily, the company and the employees decided to negotiate.
There was a consensus.
There was a consensus. So as part of the consensus, it was a very good, actually they got a good deal. We got a good deal
Yeah,
from Shell.
you
to
guys
me.
got a good
We
deal.
guys got a very good deal.
No, not the
Not
company.
the company. The guys got a good deal because
Yeah.
you got a month for every year worked.
Oh, nice. Not even a half month.
No,
'Cause
you
severance
got
is
a
usually half
full
month.
month
Wow.
for
that's
every
amazing.
year worked, and then a severance of 3 months.
Yes, that was good.
I was like, this money, I am going to take it. See, I've always wanted to focus on governance. Remember,
Yes.
as Shell, I was in a head of legal, but remember, multinationals have their own way of operating.
Yes, yes.
The governance is not so blown out.
Yeah, they have the global
They have
policies
the
also.
global policies, so on and so forth. So at that point in time, I immersed myself in the Institute of Company Secretaries, and I become their chair.
Yes.
And then Shell divests, and I decide, let me take the
It's
handshake.
time for me to go.
It's time for me to go. So I move out of Shell and I really throw my weight behind the institute because I said, I just need to sit and rest first before I decide.
I still remember your days as the chair, and
absolutely.
you are very committed.
Oh, thank you. That's
very committed. Yeah, I
so
yeah.
I am chillaxing, as they say, relaxing, as they say.
Yes.
And then Evanson Mwaniki, may God rest his soul in peace.
Yes.
At that point in time, Evanson Mwaniki was the chairman of Kenya Airways.
Yes.
Remember, Evanson was ex-Shell. And when I was company secretary of Shell, he had long since retired, but he was sitting on the board of Shell. So he calls me one day and he says, Catherine, I hear you left Shell. I said, yes, I did. Well, we are looking for a company secretary at Kenya Airways. I wonder whether you'll be interested. And I'm like, yeah, why not? Remember, I've just chilled. I don't know what I want to do in my life.
But you don't make yourself look like too eager. You just say,
I
can consider it.
Yeah. So he says, okay, come in and see me with the group managing director. So I go in and I see them. I have not asked the question whether they are looking for an in-house counsel or in-house company secretary or external company secretary.
Yes.
So I go and they tell me, okay, we are more interested in an external company secretary because the current one is external and she is retiring. And by the way, we would not want to get an individual. We want a firm. I have no firm. Me, I'm relaxing.
You've been relaxing and taking it easy.
But then I remember registering a firm is so quick.
It's one day affair.
One day affair. So I'm like, okay, if you want a firm, it's okay. I'll give you a firm.
I'll give you.
I'll give you a firm. By tomorrow, I'll have given you a firm. And I'm like, no. Let me give you a firm next week. So I go back and I think, now, what do I call this firm? What name?
And you made a commitment.
I made a commitment.
Till next week.
I need to live up to the commitment. So long story short, I set up Dorian Associates then.
At that point, within a week.
Yes. I set up Dorian
Associates. That's how it was born.
Yes.
Wow.
That is how Dorian Associates is born. Dorian comes from, my other name is Doris.
Doris.
Yes.
I didn't know. Now I know.
This is my other name.
Guys, Catherine Doris Musakali. Now we all know.
Absolutely. But I'm Catholic. My confirmation name is Praxidis.
Oh.
That's a story for another day.
Okay.
Story for another day.
It's getting more complex.
Yeah. So Doris is what my mother gave me when I was born.
When you were born.
Then she took me for baptism and the priest is asking her, St. Doris, I've never heard of anything like that. There's no St. Doris.
Yeah,
so St. Catherine.
They refused.
So, but the name stuck. So
Catherine.
Doris is my other name. Then I'm like, stars, the constellation, Orion.
Yes. Oh,
that's Dorian.
That's nice.
That's Dorian.
Sounds good.
So I quickly set up Dorian Associates and I gave them the registration certificate. And so my first client
was
as
Kenya
an external
Airways.
Yes, was Kenya Airways.
This quote I like so much that says that luck is opportunity finding you prepared.
Absolutely.
So now me when I look at you, I'm just thinking Dorian. It was luck. It was not luck. It was opportunity.
It was
finding
opportunity.
You prepared. And you're saying within a few days I'll give you the farm.
Absolutely.
And step into the shoes.
Absolutely. And that is another story for the Women on Boards Network, because we always say when boards look for board members, it is never bring me my CV. It is the nominations committee is meeting tomorrow.
Who?
If your profile is not
ready. Yes.
It is not ready.
I'm ready.
You miss it.
You have to be always ready.
Always ready.
Always
ready. The nominations committee is meeting tomorrow.
Who?
If your profile is not
I'm ready. Yes.
it is not ready.
I'm ready.
You miss it.
You have to be always ready.
And those sessions are the ones that helped build my profile.
You are paying clients.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
This quote I like so much that says that luck is opportunity
Yes.
finding you
Yes.
prepared.
Absolutely.
So now, me when I look at you, I'm just thinking, Dolion, it was luck, it was not luck, it was opportunity,
It was
finding
opportunity.
you prepared. And you're saying within a few days, I'll give you the
it.
farm.
Absolutely.
And step into the shoes.
Absolutely. And that is another story for the Women on Boards Network, because we always say when boards look for board members, it is never bring me my CV. It is the nominations committee is meeting tomorrow.
Who?
If your profile is not
I'm ready. Yes.
it is not ready.
I'm ready.
You miss it.
You have to be always ready.
Always ready.
Always ready.
So
Yes.
I set up Dorian Associates, and that time I'm still the chair of the Institute of Certified Secretaries of Kenya. Now, the institute then, I go to Naivasha. We were doing something for Kenyatta National Hospital, not to Naivasha, to Nyahururu. And I meet Simon Indimuli. And Simon Indimuli says to me, we were meeting for the very first time. He says to me, we are looking for a consultant to help us put together a code of corporate governance for state-owned entities. And we have decided that it is going to be an international tender so that we can get people to put together
From
this
all
code.
over.
I'm like, Simon, but why are you looking for an international consultant when the Kenyans can do it? He says, but we've looked and we haven't seen. I said, have you tried the institute?
Yeah.
He says, no. I said, okay. It was a Friday.
Yes.
I said to him, Simon, try the institute.
We have people.
We have people who can do it. He said, I don't believe it. I said, Simon, this is Friday. Monday, I will give you the outline of a board, of the code.
Of the code.
Of the code, Mwongozo.
To convince you.
To convince you that we
here.
can do it.
Yeah.
So I drive back from Nyahururu on Saturday. Remember, I've promised Monday.
On Monday, yes.
I lock myself in my room, kids knocking, but I am like, no, I'm working. By Monday, I had the outline, what you would call the table of contents.
What?
So I did my research. I looked at, that time it was King 3. I looked at the Malaysian code. I looked at the OECD. I looked at all of those. And I put together the outline for the code. And I took it to Simon on Monday and I said, Simon, this is it.
This is it.
The code will look like this. It's just the content which is
Are you
missing.
happy with it?
Are you happy with it? He's like, yeah. Can you do it? I say, yeah. So I got together a few other members of the Institute of Certified Secretaries, and we actually did
You did the
Mwongozo.
code.
We did the code.
And it was a big thing.
It was a big thing. It has changed the governance of state corporations.
Yeah.
And I think it's been an amazing document.
Yeah.
As just before we finished the drafting of
Mwongozo.
CMA then decides that they also want to do a code of corporate governance for
the listed entities. I remember that. Yeah.
So they put together a team and they called the institute to be part of the team. So I sent Ndwati. Remember Ndwati was my vice chair?
Yes.
I sent Ndwati to go for the meeting and they say, we want Catherine here. I wasn't part of the meeting, but they called me. So I decided to go.
So you went?
I went. They told me, you're going to chair this. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll do it. By the way, Mwongozo, we said to Simon, we will not charge you. As an institute, we'll do it for you pro bono.
Wow,
so
it was a pro bono service.
It was a pro bono service.
That's amazing.
So I go and I become again the chair of the team that was putting together the code of corporate governance for listed entities. And we finished that, and it was pretty amazing. We had support from the IFC, we had support from quite a number of other people, but the code has served its purpose.
And you even did public participation.
We did public.
You came
guys
to us, you
us.
told us what you're planning, you gave us the drafts for comments.
The market
and we
pushed
made
us.
noise.
You made a lot of noise.
I remember that.
But thankfully we had done that public participation, and it worked very well.
It was
we are at a stage where we are revising the code again.
Yes.
And so
that was how many years ago?
2015.
2015, yes.
2015,
it's about
so
10 years now.
So now
it's due for review.
It's due for review, and we've started the process, and we're going to review it again.
Now, I want to just remind my guys here. You heard what Catherine said. They did the Mwongozo code for the state corporations free of charge, pro bono. Now, a lot of us, even when we go for job interviews these days, the first question we're asking, how much are you paying me? What we forget is that sometimes, even internship, it's supposed to build or demonstrate our skills and what we are capable of doing.
Absolutely.
So I think we need to change that perspective of, first of all, going upfront to say, what's in it for me? How much are you paying me for?
Yeah.
And first of all, work on your capabilities and demonstrate what you're capable of doing. Yeah. So when they did a great job, CMA comes and says, we don't want anybody else. Remember, initially they were saying we are going international to look for a consultant. Catherine and her team have demonstrated. So that should be the attitude. What are we putting on the table first before we ask, how much are you paying me? It pays in the long run. Let's continue.
I actually love that point, Mary, because remember, I have set up my consultancy as well.
Yes.
Which is providing corporate governance, company secretarial services to Kenya Airways.
Yes.
But now, since it has become my mainstay, I need to build my customer base, and I need to increase my offering.
It's a business, and it needs to run and be sustainable.
Let me tell you the truth of the matter. When I started going into the area of corporate governance, capacity building for the board members, development, there are many sessions that I ran pro bono.
Yes.
And those sessions are the ones that helped build my profile.
You are paying clients.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So they helped me build my profile, but they also helped me learn a lot.
Yes. You started understanding the customer needs from there.
Absolutely.
And the gaps.
Absolutely. Yeah? Any consultant who works for a client and does not learn from that experience to improve their offering is wasting their time.
Yes, yes.
Because every client comes with different circumstances that should help you learn from them, and therefore become a better consultant.
There's a lesson in every brief.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we've done those two codes. I've led the development of those two codes. The institute then decides, there is a code of corporate governance for listed entities. There's a code of corporate governance for state-owned entities.
Corporations.
What about private entities?
Yes.
So then I lead the development of the ICS code of corporate governance for private entities. Done and dusted.
3 done.
3 done. Then we say, what about NGOs?
What?
So I lead another initiative to develop a code of corporate governance for the NGOs.
NGO sector.
Yes, we did. That code is there. It has always been in draft since 2015.
Yes.
It never took off. We finished the drafting, but we realized that the person who was appointed to represent the NGO board on our team,
in your committee,
in our committee, in our team,
yes,
when the leadership changed, they were more or less persona non grata on the other side.
Oh my.
So the code was then not accepted.
It was rejected just because we don't like you. Oh, no.
So the code was there, but the beauty is that the current act, PBO Act,
yes,
has borrowed a lot.
So they have adopted a lot of the provisions into the act.
Into the act.
So it still works.
It still
but
works.
indirectly.
Indirectly.
Yeah, that's
so
perfect.
those codes are done.
That's good.
And then I asked myself, the one question, you know, in those codes we would talk about gender diversity.
Yes.
We will talk about boards should be diverse. And when I looked around, boards were not diverse. They were predominantly male. I'm like, huh? What is all this? So every time I ask the question, why isn't your board diverse? The answer would be,
And
where do
women.
I get the women?
The women, where are the women?
Where are the women? I'm like, hiya, they are here, but where? And then the other question will be, even that one who is on our board does not speak. So why do you want us to have more?
We don't want more.
So I sat and I'm like, I can either keep on asking and getting the same answer, or I can do something about it.
Yes.
That is the story of Women on Boards Network.
I was going to actually ask you, what was the motivation for co-founding? You co-founded Women on Boards. But I want to read for you a quote from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm sure you know this one. As women achieve power, the barriers will fall. As society sees what women can do, as women see what women can do, there will be more women out there doing things, and we'll all be better off for it. So tell us about that and how it has shaped your work with Women on Boards.
It also reminds me of the Nobel laureate Malala,
yes,
who also said, we cannot succeed when one of us is held back.
Yes.
It's exactly the same. So I'm like, why don't we put together something, a network that will bring together women to support each other, to grow each other, to make the board more diverse. So I reached out to Rose Lumumba, I reached out to Nkirote Moria, and guess who? Calvin Nyachoti.
Calvin is Women on Boards, Damu. Wow.
So I said, guys, these are the answers that I'm getting. What can we do about it?
People think the women are not there.
They're not there. Why don't we put together a network, a platform where we can find the women? So that time my consultancy is also still new, 2015. It's still very new.
You're building on it.
And I'm like, it's okay, let's set up this company, the Women on Boards Network, and let's see how far it can go. So we decided to set up a not-for-profit, a company limited by guarantee. Why don't you have women on your board? They would be like, where do we get the women? And there would be
where
those,
are the
where
women?
are the women? I'm like, I'm here. So that's the third category.
Yes.
The other category of women on boards are, you know, members who have served on boards and retired, but they want to mentor other women.
Welcome back. My name is Mary Wamae, and this is the Executive Table. We continue with a very, very interesting and exciting conversation with Catherine Musakali. Welcome back, Catherine.
Thank you very much, Mary.
So now we are talking about the Women on Boards Network and why you started that. Just tell us why you found it necessary.
So out of all of those codes of corporate governance that we developed, one of the clauses that we would always put in that code is that boards must be diverse. That boards must have a diversity and skills matrix and include women, so on and so forth. But boards were actually not diverse. They were predominantly male. You know? So anytime you'd ask anybody, why don't you have women on your board? They would be like, where do we get the women? And there would be
where are the
women? I'm like, I'm here. By the way.
And there are many others out there.
There are many other. Do you know my first ever board? Let me just digress a little bit. My first board in life was, other than AKI, Association of Kenya Insurers, a first real board in life for the Nairobi Securities Exchange.
Wow, that's a big one.
Where my first board. And I was still working for Shell then. That time. And initially, I was also the only woman then on that board, and then another lady joined me.
Yeah.
And by the way, the person who invited me to that board, again, was my former line manager, George Minor. Networks.
Yes.
But not just networks, but also what profile are you
demonstrated
demonstrating?
capability.
So that when an opportunity arises, somebody says, there's this
I
person.
know so and so.
I know so and so.
They are here, they do a good job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I go back to the codes and, people saying, where do we find the women? And even that woman we have on our board does not speak. Why do you want us to have another woman? So I convince 3 other friends, Nkirote Moria, Calvin Nyachoti, the only male founder of the Women on Boards Network, and Rose Lumumba. And I say, can we not found an organization that will champion gender diversity on boards? And they say, yes. I have just started my own consultancy. I have a little office somewhere near Braeside School. And I'm like, yeah, why don't we do it? So we put together, each of us contributed 80,000 Kenya shillings. It was a lot of money.
That's a lot of money that time.
So we set up Women on Boards Network as a company limited by guarantee because it is for a social good.
Yes.
And so the idea was to bring together women who are sitting on boards so that we continue, sharing experiences, ideas, etc. But at the same time, for them to also mentor the younger ones, something that you have done for us very well, Mary, and thank you.
I'm one of the mentors.
Thank you very much, absolutely.
You're most welcome.
So we have the second category of members who are not yet sitting on boards, but whose next natural step is a board position. Now, those ones need hand-holding, they need capacity building, they need to be pointed in the right direction. They need somebody to say, as you have done severally, Mary, there's a board position here, and this person is capable of sitting
building their confidence.
Yes, and thank you for doing that for us. Yeah. The third category is junior members. Junior members, the reason why we started junior membership, which started just the other day, and junior members is made up of both boys and girls. From around the age of 12 to around round about when they get their first job after campus. Now, the junior wing started because my daughter, we have annual conferences. And my daughter, that friend of mine.
Yes, I know her.
the one who looked at me and said, turn the other way.
Yes.
So she would follow me around, and I think that's how we developed that bond. So we would go for Women on Boards programs, and she's following me around. She was about 12, by the way. She'll follow me around. And now, the discussions we are having may not even be making sense. So she would end up just perhaps sitting with the secretariat, distributing, the material for the conference, etc. I'm like, but why don't we do something for her as well? So that's how come we founded the junior wing. Yes. So, but at that stage, it's both boys and girls. Yes. Because we want boards to be diverse. So we should also prepare the boys as well.
Sensitize the boys only.
Absolutely. Yeah. So here we are just building their capacity in leadership and interesting them in board leadership later. So that's the third category. The other category of women on boards are, members who have served on boards and retired, but they want to mentor other women.
Yes, and I know you have many of them.
Oh, we have many of them. Yeah, and Mary, you have been an asset to Women on Boards. I can't thank you enough. How many people have you mentored out of Women on Boards Network?
About 20 now. And most of them have been placed somewhere.
Absolutely.
If I may just...
I know. Thank you.
Thank you. But thanks for the opportunity.
Granted,
I mean, it's great. Yeah. But now, as we are talking about women on boards, there's a very important aspect that I want us to discuss, which is the male allyship. Because I know you are also a true believer. I mean, even looking at the founder members, you have a male founder. I know you have a lot of, even when I do the mentorship, I know you have male mentors to the women. And I also know that at the awards, the annual awards, you also have an award for the male champion of the year. Just tell us about that and why you think that allyship is really important.
So first and foremost, I truly believe in diversity. Truly believe in diversity. And that's the reason why when we were founding Women on Boards, Calvin, I could have easily said to Rosa and Kirote, let's set up
it's that okay, thing, we are okay.
You know? But unless you have somebody else who potentially thinks differently and tells you things from a different perspective, you really cannot go far.
You have one side of the
situation. You have the danger of a single story, Chimamanda.
Yes.
Now, when I was growing up, remember I told you I had mentors. All my mentors have been male, surprisingly.
Wow.
They have been male. And there is something about the way they think and the way they act that women would also benefit from.
Yes.
And that is the reason why diversity is so important. If you look at the board of Women on Boards now, because we have a formal board, we have 2 male.
Yes, I know the Reverend Jenga, yes,
and Calvin.
And Calvin.
So it was driven from that perspective. We also have brand ambassadors who are male. So we have Julius Kipngetich, who's male. We have John Gumi,
who is also a mentor.
And also Patrick Obath, who are mentors. So we have really benefited from this gentleman who genuinely support the cause of women, who actually, in fact, sometimes speak the cause of women even more than the women themselves.
I know.
So that's the reason why we really support them and recognize them. Mike Eldon is another one who really...
Yes, I've seen him in the events.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the male perspective, even as we discuss the diversity issues and all that, it is very important to bring that other perspective. And see what are the men thinking about it. But also remembering that a lot of the decision-making structures right now it's male dominated.
Absolutely.
So you need them to be converted onto the agenda,
right? And to support it.
To understand and to support.
To understand and to support. And the other diversity that we're now looking at seriously on boards is age diversity.
And age
diversity. So that's where now the junior wing also comes in.
So they're also included.
They are also
as
included.
They grow in stature and intelligence. Wow, that's amazing. So what would you say have been the gains for Women on Boards so far since you founded it? Because it looks like it's really had its impact, but tell us about it, the impact.
Also, when we look at the number of women we have helped place on boards, the number keeps growing.
It's growing.
When you profile yourself, when you work on your profile,
the opportunities just come.
The results show that diverse boards outperform their peers.
Give us those statistics. What would you say have been the gains for Women on Boards so far since you founded it? Because it looks like it's really had its impact, but tell us about it, the impact.
So first and foremost, we are just a little over 11 years since we set up Women on Boards Network now. And we have risen from single membership. In other words, when we were launching, we only had like 1 or 2 members outside of ourselves. So we had a big launch at Intercontinental. But the members were like 2. That was 2014
that was it.
Or something. That was it.
Yeah.
But when you look at the network now, we are 1,000 plus.
Well, I came for the dinner the other day, and the hall was full. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I thank you guys for speaking the cause of women. So one is the membership. Two, when you look at the studies that have been done, and Kenya Institute of Management, jointly with Nairobi Securities Exchange and now KEPSA, have been very good at doing those studies. And the first study that was done, diversity on boards, the first study that was done showed that, and that was just around the time we started Women on Boards, the percentage of women sitting on boards was around 7%.
7 in Kenya?
In Kenya.
Uh-huh.
It went on to about 13. When they did their last report, it was at 23.
From 7% to 23%.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Now they're doing the next report out, and I think
should be
that
even
diversity higher. Would even be higher.
Yeah.
Of course, one will say they're mainly concentrating on listed companies, etc. But those listed companies are a representation of what else we have.
It's a good sample.
It's a good sample.
Yeah, it's a good sample.
So I would say that the other achievement, therefore, as part of the work we do, is we have sensitized people enough, and people are now starting to, ensure that their boards are diverse.
Yes.
Right from the beginning. Also, when we look at the number of women we have helped place on boards.
Yes.
The number keeps growing.
It's growing.
This year, by the way, I was so excited because we got into a partnership with an organization, a not-for-profit organization called the ISROF Foundation. And they bring together not-for-profit boards. Not-for-profit boards don't pay, right?
Yes.
They don't pay their board members. But they are very good ground for learning,
yes,
for board members
ethics.
to learn, and ethics and all of that.
Yes.
And we are now their one-stop shop for their members when they're looking for board members. So they come to us and they give us the list of who's looking to recruit. And the other day we had, in November, we had a clinic that brought together those ladies who are looking to sit on not-for-profit boards, plus the not-for-profit boards themselves.
And then they interact.
They came and interacted. And
so it's a matchmaking kind of
It was actually,
exercise,
that is what it was. It was a
That's
matchmaking
amazing.
exercise. So that's another one that I would say has been great. The other one, which is more at an individual level for the women, nothing gives me joy than somebody walking up to me and saying, Catherine, I did not know I could do this until I joined Women on Boards.
Confidence boost.
Exactly, the confidence boost.
Yeah.
Because we've told them, go for the jobs, go for the promotions, go for the, put yourself forward, put your hand up. And people are coming back to us and saying, you know what?
I did. I got it.
And I got it.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful that because I learned, I had this from Mary, I had this from this speaker, because we have all those speaking engagements.
Yeah, on different.
By the way, you're very popular with Women on Boards. I don't know what to do with you.
because I also tell them that, okay, if you raise your hand and you are not picked this time, don't worry. Just go work on what you think is the deficiency.
Absolutely.
Next time, try again. Don't give up. You never know when your turn will come.
Absolutely.
So that's the message across.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Now, when I look at the economy generally, when you do studies, and these are studies across the world, not even specific to Kenya, the results show that diverse boards outperform their peers.
Give us those statistics.
Well,
believe it or not, we are getting real statistics here.
Believe it or not.
Tell us.
So one study was done for companies, and it was done over a period of 12 years. So they followed companies that had female CEOs but were also diverse.
On the boards.
On the board. And they did not do it for 1 year, they did it for 12
years.
Good years. You should see the graph.
Were those Fortune 500?
Fortune 500.
Yeah,
You've seen the study.
I've seen the study.
And it showed that boards that were led by female CEOs outperformed those that were not by 226%.
What? That's a big lead.
12 years, not 1 year.
Over 12 years.
Over 12 years.
Yeah. Consistently.
Consistently.
Yeah.
So that's just an example of the statistics. Another study was done the other day, and I struggle with the numbers, and I'll get you the numbers in a little while. But it showed, it was also studying not just diversity, but also age diversity on the board.
Yes.
And what that study showed is that those boards that had board members who were 60 years and above as the average went into negative performance year on year.
Wait, Catherine.
I am telling
now,
you the truth.
Now I'm getting scared.
I am telling you the truth.
You know, I'm heading to 60.
I said average age. So if you
so
have,
somehow on the very high side,
you could be 80,
yeah.
but if you have 20-something, it brings down the average age,
so
because it's the average age.
The lesson is bring down the average
by
bringing the younger generation onto the board so
Absolutely.
They can also learn. Yeah.
And then it went into those companies that had one woman on the board.
Yes.
And it showed that those companies that had one woman on the board did not perform as well as those companies that had two women on the board,
yes.
and those companies that had
More
three women on the board. So they actually did all of that.
Wow.
And the statistics
Various
are there.
dynamics. Wow.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Thanks for that. I think it's very useful, even as we make decisions in terms of, you know, the criteria for selection. Diversity should always be at the top, and the statistics are there to prove that. So thank you so much, and I mean to say that I've really enjoyed, you know, serving and making my contribution to women on boards, because I can also see the impact that it is creating. Thank you. I know that you also do
and by
training.
the way, even before you leave that point, one of the ladies you mentored, you actually got her onto a board.
Yes, I did. Actually, I got two. Yes, I got two.
So one of them walked up to me and said, I don't know who brought Mary into my life.
Wow.
Because I would not have gotten that board position without Mary.
Wow,
so
I want to know who it is.
Yes.
They are my friends. We still have coffee once in a while. Yeah, because mentorship is a continuous process. It's not a one-off.
Yeah.
So once in a while we still have coffee and say,
Fantastic.
oh yeah, what's going on in your life? One just became a doctor the other day. She was celebrating and she told us, don't call me my name, Yvonne. I am doctor.
I don't know, Yvonne.
I am Dr. Yvonne.
Yes.
And she's so excited about it.
That is great.
So we feel very proud.
I'm happy.
When we
I'm
see
happy.
that progress as the women
I'm
also.
happy.
If they want to make their life better, they want to succeed.
And
they show up.
One of the ones who, you know, one of the programs we have is the Global Women on Boards.
Yes.
The one that they do a 6-month mentorship
program.
and then they graduate in Paris. The one where we have a partnership with Columbia Global Center Nairobi.
Yes.
And in Paris and Lead Women Malaysia.
Yes.
There is one of the ladies who went through that program has said to me, she has said no to so many board positions. I'm like, bring them. Bring them.
Why you say no? There are people who are looking for them.
But you know, when you put yourself forward, when you profile yourself, when you work on your profile,
the opportunities just come. Yeah. Luck is opportunity finding you prepared.
Absolutely.
Always remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, now tell us about the 6-kilometer daily walk and the recital of the rosary. You're not thinking work, you're not even thinking about your kids at that time.
Yes.
Or anyone else. It's just you.
Yes.
It's your me time.
But guess what? We would do 12 kilometers with him on Sunday.
Okay.
So we stopped going for morning mass.
Luck is opportunity finding you
Yes,
prepared.
absolutely.
Always remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, now tell us about the 6-kilometer daily walk
Hey,
and the recital of the rosary.
wow, here it is, by the way. Here it is. So, interestingly, I decided that I wanted to lose a bit of weight.
Was it a New Year resolution by any chance?
No, I don't do New Year resolutions.
Oh, okay.
Because I started doing New Year resolutions and then I'll just forget. New Year resolution will be like, don't
then
eat.
it's
And then
December again and
pana. No.
so there's an exercise in futility.
So I don't do New Year resolutions.
Okay.
In other words, I never get into a commitment to myself and also to my clients that I cannot meet.
Yes.
So 6 kilometers walk started with, actually it started before the desire to lose weight. Because I found that I am sitting so much. The whole day I'm literally at my office.
Meetings desk work,
and
whatever.
desk work and, 6 p.m. comes, 7 p.m. you're seated at your desk. I said I have to be intentional about exercise. And I can't run. I won't run.
No gym?
No gym, no nothing.
Yeah.
Because I'm not great. I'm not a gym enthusiast.
Yeah, just like me.
So I decided that I need to do something that I will enjoy.
Yeah.
So I made a decision about 2.5 years back. And I said I'm going to be walking every day. And I just got into it. That time I didn't even have proper walking shoes. You walk with the normal, you go and buy sports shoes and you think they're walking shoes. They are not.
So after work?
After work, just change and walk. So what do? I drive to my office because I go to church in the morning.
Yes.
So I go to church in the morning, then drive to the office. In the evening, now I have my bag with me, my sports bag with me. In the evening, I change into my walking shoes. I remove my jewelry. I remove everything except my watch.
Yes.
I don't walk with a short-sleeved T-shirt. It has to be a long-sleeved T-shirt, and it has to have, the proper sports clothes.
Yes.
So that I can track my walking.
Yes.
So I remove everything else, and I leave myself with my watch and my rosary.
Yes.
And I take my walk from home. My office is about 1.5 kilometers from my house, but I don't go straight home. So I detour. I detour and go to Kileleshwa, and then I pass right outside here and I go home. It is exactly 6.2 kilometers.
From the office, that extended route to your home.
To my home. By the time I arrive home, I have said the full rosary because I'm just on my own.
Yes.
I've said the full rosary and I'm starting to almost repeat it or say other prayers as I walk.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I find that it is the time that I can really connect.
You're not thinking work, you're not even thinking about your kids at that time.
Yes.
Or anyone else. It's just you.
Yes.
It's your me time.
It's my me time.
Yeah.
And I walk and I reach home. If I decide I'm going to walk at 3 p.m., which hardly happens, most of the time it is 5 p.m. to about 5:30.
After the day's job is done. Yeah.
If I don't leave by 5:30, I will not walk. I will go home.
Yeah.
So if I leave at 3 p.m. and I walk and I reach home, I will have my dinner, even if it is 4 p.m.
Whatever time you get
Whatever
home.
time I get home.
Yes.
I will shower and I'll have my dinner at that time. And that's it. Even if it is 4 p.m., that's it. My helper makes dinner very early. So you've
just created a routine around that.
I've created a routine around that, which I enjoy. So every day I will get into my changed clothes and I will walk and I will go home. If it's Saturday, I will just walk around there, but make sure that I do my 6 kilometers.
You cover the 6 kilometers.
Yes. There was a time that my spouse got into it as well. But guess what? We would do 12 kilometers with him on Sunday.
Okay.
So we stopped going for morning mass on Sunday.
Yes.
Because we would wake up
and go straight
have
to the walk.
our breakfast and then go straight to the walk. So we would walk from home up to Ngong Road, City Mortuary, and then come back. From around our place to City Mortuary is around 6.5 kilometers.
Yes.
By the time we are coming back.
Now coming back is a double.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
So 12 Sundays would be 12 kilometers. He's dropped off, so now I'm not working on Sundays.
We need to revive that passion somehow.
Yes, but 6 kilometers for me is the minimum. So there are days I would not, because perhaps like yesterday when he trained.
Or you have a late meeting. Sometimes they clop up.
But more often than not.
But when you're able to do it, you will do it.
Which is more often than not.
Isn't that amazing? Because, also, a lot of us think that, to get into shape or meet our health, physical, the health set, we have to spend a lot of money.
You don't.
But what Catherine is telling us is that it costs actually nothing. The only thing we have to do is to make the routine and incorporate that into our daily program. Whether you can do it in the morning. I know there are some people who choose to do the staircases in their offices. If you're on the 6th floor, 7th floor, you just choose to do the stairs.
And I have seen you walk.
Instead of the lift.
I
also walk.
Yes.
I don't know whether I'm as faithful as you are to the daily routine, but I'm trying, I can tell you.
No, you're doing well.
Yeah, so just create a routine around what you do, and it is possible. And you don't have to spend even a coin on keeping fit and healthy. Now, Catherine, tell us about the Widows and Orphans Trust.
So what do? We will put them together. We will buy them a goat or two or a cow or two and support them to, start to, generate revenue for themselves. There was a time like some of them were really struggling. Those kids who say, we've put them in a boarding school. They don't want to go home because there's nothing to go to.
Yes, it's only frustration.
I would have them in my house.
You house them in your house?
Yes, I would house them.
Now, Catherine, tell us about the Widows and Orphans Trust.
You discovered that one.
What do you do? And why?
The Widows and Orphans Trust is a trust that I was requested to get into by a friend of mine. It was started first, the Widows and Orphans Trust. There's the Widows and Orphans Trust UK. So there was a priest here in Kenya who left, a nurse here in Kenya who left and immigrated back to the UK. And she linked up with a priest who also used to work here. And in the UK, they set up the Widows and Orphans Trust with a view to helping widows and orphans here in Kenya. So I helped them then set up the Widows and Orphans Trust here in Kenya. And the Widows and Orphans Trust is a trust that is focused on widows. And what we do with widows is we get together a group of widows. The idea is about helping them to be self-reliant. So what do? We will put them together. We will buy them a goat or two or a cow or two and support them to, start to, generate revenue for themselves. Then what we did is we also set up a small dispensary in Western Kenya. And the idea is that dispensary is for the treatment of the widows when they fall sick. Because remember, these are people who could fall sick and they have no money to go to a proper hospital.
Yeah.
So they go into this, it's called St. Bakita, and they are treated for free. It also treats non-widows and non-whatever. Now those ones pay. Those ones who are not registered will not pay. This trust also pays fees, school fees, for the orphans.
For the orphans.
Right?
Wow.
So we get together the orphans who are not able to pay their school fees, right from primary to secondary to college. We have graduates. And
up to university.
Yes, up to university.
Wow.
And now some of the graduates are coming back to serve the Widows and Orphans Trust. The widowers are not left behind. Remember I told you I believe in diversity.
Yeah.
The widowers are not left behind. So when the widowers, if you're certified as a widower, you can access treatment also. And you're not able
hospital,
to.
If you are not able to pay.
Yes, you can access. So that is the idea, and we have a good crop of alumni and also school-going kids. On average, in a year, we will have, in primary school, maybe around 60, 70 children.
Per year?
Per year. In secondary school, maybe a similar amount. In high school, campus, we have a fewer number. Because again, we also don't focus too much on those who have performed very well, because many times donors will find those ones.
Yes.
So we focus on the ones who have not performed very well, the ones who go to local schools, because we want the cake spread out to more people. Yeah.
But are you also finding that those who don't qualify to go to university, they are still able to go to colleges, do the TVET programs and the technical courses?
In fact, we support them in those technical courses.
So they are also able to generate some, be able to be self-employed and maybe generate some income.
Absolutely. We have quite a number who are, in fact, the ones who go to university are much fewer. The ones we end up taking to TVETs are more.
Yeah. And it's good. I'm actually encouraging a lot of them to join the TVET program, because they are hands-on and it's always work for you. You can self-employ instead of waiting to get a job, a white-collar job somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's commendable. Would you say that would be part of your legacy programs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The interesting thing, Mary, is that, remember, the program is predominantly run in Western Kenya.
Yeah.
Many of these
beneficiaries
have never met me. They have never met me. I don't know them. But for me, it is, I know so-and-so is going through the program. I need them to succeed. And that's it.
Doing good and not saying a word about it.
Not saying a word about it. No.
I stumbled about this thing somewhere. So don't ask me how. I've never heard you talk about it.
Absolutely. And for some of them, I have, there was a time like some of them were really struggling. You know those kids who say, we've put them in a boarding school. They don't want to go home because there's nothing to go to.
Yes, it's only frustration.
I would have them in my house.
You house them in your house?
Yes, I would house them. And then we ended up at some point building like a hostel for them. So now they go to the hostel.
Yeah, because also some of them, when they go back to that environment, it actually almost destroys the gain that you have realized when they are in school.
Yes.
So that's a fantastic idea.
Absolutely.
Where you house them together, they are under care, proper values, the right environment also for their studies.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's
so that one is doing well. We started another project under Women on Boards, which hasn't done well, and I need to, I think, rekindle it again, which is something we were calling Sex for Pads. If you remember in Kisumu, there was a program that was run on TV about sex for pads in Kisumu and Busia County. So we heard about it as Women on Boards, and we said we can do something about it. So we started to collect a bit of money. And the idea was that it's not just about providing the pads to the girls. You need to build the capacity of her brother to stand up for her. Because her brother knows who is harassing the sister.
The protection.
So sort out the brother, sort out the mother also, because sometimes it is mothers for survival. Yes. So sort out all those issues, the root cause, as opposed to just providing. So that hasn't picked up too well. But what I have done this year is that at an individual level, I have gone to now 3 secondary schools and donated pads.
In your personal capacity?
For the whole school, yes.
Wow.
In my personal capacity. In one instance, I worked together with a group of other ladies and we supplied pads for a year for the girls so that there is no excuse.
Yes.
You know, because some of them, during those days, they're not going to school at all.
Yeah.
So it's to make sure
they
that
lose out, yeah,
they lose
the
out.
The performance goes
Absolutely.
down. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. The Bible tells us it's more blessed to give than to receive, and nice. I think that always holds true.
It does.
Yeah, because the blessings come in another way, very unexpected ways, when you do those things.
In fact, when I went to the factory to buy those pads for the whole year for the school, I was like, you mean this is what it costs? I can blow this money in less than a month.
Yeah, just
like
doing
that.
Things here and there.
But see,
it
the
makes
impact
so
it
much
has.
difference to somebody.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
And each one of us, if we just thought about it, you never lack. Once you've given that money, you will not lack.
It comes back in another way.
Yeah, it does.
So I think giving is just the mindset. And a lot of us, it's not that we are not able to give, because as you're saying, it doesn't cost that much. I mean, it will not destroy your bank account, you know. All you probably need to do is to, just forego a drink in the evening somewhere in a 5-star.
And you won't die.
And you'll not die. I know there are also people who forego lunch.
Yes.
And say, I will not have lunch this week, any time, and that money I'm going to give for a certain cause. And then it works perfectly. It's the mindset.
It's a mindset. The last one that I did with the other ladies, it was a mixed school. And it was not fair to give girls and leave out the boys.
Yeah.
So what did we do with the boys? You just go here. Get somebody to go to Kamkunji for you. You get a pair of socks for every winter.
Wow. Everyone has something.
Everyone has something. And
yes.
By the way, those things, that's how I discovered
It's a lot of excitement.
You go to Kamkunji, you'll get those things in.
Yeah, so you motivate everybody, and everyone feels very valued and supported. So you mean someone is thinking about me somewhere, and I matter to somebody. So the feeling is great. Wow. Now, as we finish, I know you have done something in the energy sector in terms of policy and all that. Tell us about that.
The PS has asked that I go to Mombasa with my drugs. I carry them and I'll be injected in Mombasa. He said, but you can inject yourself.
Huh? What?
I'm like, what?
I thought you would complain.
I thought you would complain. I thought he was going to say,
you can't go.
And I kid you not, but this board member was upset. And he said, what is wrong with this management? Whose pigs are you letting roam around the refinery?
No way.
Yes.
How do you allow a pig to kill somebody?
How do you allow a pig to kill somebody?
Welcome back. The conversation with Catherine Musakali continues and is getting better and better. Catherine,
yes.
Tell us about your work in the energy sector. I know you have done quite a lot there on policy development and support and all that. Tell us.
Okay. Yeah. So remember, I was head of legal for Shell. And as part of that role, I was then nominated by the industry to represent it in the drafting of the Energy Act that was later, replaced. And so we started drafting the Energy Act. If you remember the work ethic of P.S. Nyoike.
Yeah, yeah.
He was an early riser, and by the way, he lived in Thika.
Huh?
But by 5 a.m., P.S. Nyoike would be in his office.
In Nairobi.
In Nairobi. What? He would work up to about 9 o'clock p.m. and then go back.
To Thika.
That man worked.
So he never slept, literally.
He never slept, literally. So we drafted the Energy Act, and then he said to me, he said to us, I want you guys to go to Mombasa so that you finish this act and bring it back so that we can take it to Parliament. As fate would have it, I fell ill. And the doctor put me on injectables. So I said to P.S. Nyoike, I can't join the team because I'm sick. He said, but you can go to Mombasa and be treated there. Mm. Then I said to him, okay, I'm on injectables. He said, it's okay. The hotel you're going to go to will have a doctor who can come in and inject you.
That's not an excuse.
That's not an excuse. And I wondered, I mean, there are other people in the team. Why don't they just go? No, he's like, Catherine, this act is not being completed without you.
You are going.
You're going. So I went to my husband and I told him, okay, he's a medical doctor. He's a surgeon. I said, the PS has asked that I go to Mombasa with my drugs. I carried them and I'll be injected in Mombasa. He said, but you can inject yourself.
Huh? What?
I'm like, what?
I thought you would complain.
I thought he would complain. I thought he was going to say,
you can't go.
I thought he was going to say, let me go and see the PS.
And explain.
And explain. He's like, you can inject yourself. I'm like, okay. He said, okay. Tomorrow, when your injection time comes, I'm coming to teach you.
I'll show you how to do it.
How to do it.
Huh?
So he actually showed me how to inject myself on my thighs.
Oh,
on my thighs.
I was getting a bit scared. I'm thinking, you need a hook.
Thankfully.
I was going to wonder, how do you do it? So I remember a story about our medical clinic.
Yes.
in Tetu, where I grew up.
Yes.
So we had an Italian nurse called Sister Cajerina. And you know, the old women will not believe they'll be cured until they have gotten an injection. That one. Behind.
And you know, those injections of those days, they were not like the ones of these days.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have to be boiling them before you use them.
Yeah, they used to use water to boil to sanitize them.
So it was real steel.
And it was very painful. Okay, continue.
So he taught me how to inject myself, and off we went to Mombasa.
Yeah.
And daily I would religiously inject myself and go on with the meetings, and we finished the act.
And it was
tabled in Parliament, and it was passed.
That's amazing.
So following that, then I started working with PIEA, Petroleum Institute of East Africa, representing again my employer.
Your employer,
on that board. After leaving the oil industry, I have decided to remain an individual member of PIEA.
So you continue being a member now?
So I continue being a member now.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about generalization versus creating an expertise. Because you see, I think a lot of us just set off for the basic minimum. Say, well, I have my LLB, I'm good, I'm a lawyer. But you move from that and then you created for yourself a specialization and an expertise. Now, anyone who mentions governance, Catherine, top of mind. ESG, and you know that ESG has become a big space for everybody, all institutions, governments, and everyone. So tell us about the importance of creating that expertise, that specialization in our careers.
First and foremost, if you're going or you want to become an expert, you better love that which you want to become an expert in.
Have a passion.
Have a passion for it. I will tell you, Mary, I can go to bed. In fact, one day I did that, and I need to tell you that story. I can go to bed at 3 a.m. doing governance.
Yes.
And I can wake up at 7 a.m. feeling refreshed because governance just energizes me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So if you want to become an expert in something, love it.
First.
Because without that love, without that passion for it, you will not go for it.
You can't make
You
the sacrifices required
You can't.
to do it right.
But the important thing, and as you say, moving from a generalist to a specialist, if you're going to build your profile, start by being known in something. Yes. That thing which you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. Build your capacity and your ability in that particular area so that you become a subject matter expert.
Yeah. Yeah.
That way, people will look for you for that special thing. But let me speak a little bit about the role of the board and expertise. Mm. When we sit on the boards, we should now become generalists as opposed to specialists. Mm-hmm. Why? Assume for 1 minute, Mary, that you're a specialist in HR.
Yes.
And the board on which you're sitting has a HR specialist who is not a board member,
yes,
but a member of management.
Yes.
What are you likely to do? It will be you versus them, you versus them. And you become so focused on HR matters, you actually forget the rest.
Everything else. Yeah.
So as a board member, despite the fact that you have an expertise and a special skill in a particular area, when you sit on the board, you become a generalist.
Yes.
You have to know a bit of everything, and you focus on that.
Yeah, so you understand, first of all, the industry,
yes,
that the business operates in. Mm-hmm. You understand the company, the business itself.
And how it makes its money.
And how the value drivers,
yes,
what
yes,
puts coins down that till. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, now you have to understand all the areas of business. Absolutely. So, I mean, if it was a bank, you know, a bit of operations, a bit of HR, a bit of IT, a bit of strategy, a bit of macros, marketing, customer, everything. I totally agree with you.
You know, let me tell you a story. When I was the company secretary of KPRL, remember Shell had shares in KPRL, Kenya Petroleum Refineries.
Refineries, yeah.
The importance of understanding the business, that's what I want to emphasize on. So as company secretary, one of your key roles is to make sure that your board members are inducted.
Yes.
And they understand the business.
The business very well.
Right?
Yeah.
So there is this board member who was nominated by government to represent government on the board. And I chased him for an induction forever. He was not available for an induction. He was like, why are you looking for me, young girl?
What are you going to teach me?
What are you going to teach me? I said, I just want you to, you know, understand the refinery and everything. He never made himself available. So as fate would have it, something very unfortunate happened in the refinery and we lost a man. What happened is there is something called a pig within the oil industry. And what happens is there are pipes or pipelines, if you may, that will, you know, you use them to like push petroleum products into a tank. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not like now you have regular, you have super, you have V-Power, whatever you have. It's not like you'll have all those lines. You'll just have one line.
It's just one with everything together.
It's one line. So you pass one product and then you introduce something called a pig. A pig is something which is like a metallic thing that is introduced into the pipe at very high pressure. So it completely clears the line. Completely clears the line so that you can pass another product without contaminating the second product. So it's like you pass milk.
So after you pass you clean and then pass the other side.
The other one.
Okay. Nice.
So something unfortunate happened and the pig escaped and literally plastered a man on the wall because it's high pressure. So it just plastered him, unfortunately, and he passed away. So we come to the board and we are saying there is this unfortunate incident which happened.
You're asking why, how,
yes.
and what
so
should
we
do?
are putting our report to the board. And I kid you not, but this board member was upset. And he said, what is wrong with this management? Whose pigs are you letting roam around the refinery?
No way!
Yes.
How do you allow a pig to kill somebody?
How do you allow a pig to kill somebody? So in his mind,
It's a
he's
literal
thinking of
pig.
the four-legged pig.
And
Our
everybody
pig.
else understands
Yes.
what pig in petroleum circles means.
Perfectly well. So when you get into it, please
You
understand.
get yourself. Don't embarrass yourself. Wow.
Don't ask
Okay.
pig-like questions.
That joke will make me just laugh at midnight tonight when I'm turning.
Don't ask pig-like questions.
How do you let the pig
As a board member, understand your business.
understand?
And
That's
the
very
acronyms.
critical. Yes,
In
and what
fact,
they
in
mean.
fact, and that's a good one.
Yeah.
When I joined Kenya Airways, of course, I was also one of those who was learning the aviation industry because it also has very many acronyms and whatever.
Yes.
For every board member joining, we gave them the list of acronyms.
Yes.
This is what this
Pig, pig means. And please read them.
Please read them.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's amazing. Now, you need now to just recap, because I also get asked these questions quite a lot by both men and women. The board membership discussion. What do I need to do to become a board member or to join a board? So how would you answer that question?
When you're trying to be somebody else, you focus so much on being that other picture, portraying that other picture, that you forget what you're supposed to do on the board. So be authentic. Women are interrupted 10 times more than men. I tell the ladies, when you're interrupted, take back your power. And you don't have to do it in a fighter's way, yeah? Just take back your power in a very nice way, as I was saying. Don't say as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, because that's not nice.
Yeah.
Just say as I was saying.
And you're addressing the chair.
You're
very
addressing the chair
respectfully.
respectfully, and you take it back.
You need now to just recap, because I also get asked these questions quite a lot by both men and women. The board membership discussion. What do I need to do to become a board member or to join a board? So how would you answer that question?
First and foremost, it is what we started with, Mary. That expertise. Building that expertise. Because although on the board, we want you to be a specialist, to be a generalist. When we are recruiting you for a certain skill.
What value do you bring to the table?
Bringing to the table?
Yes.
And remember, we ask boards to develop that diversity and
criteria.
Skills matrix.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So develop that skill that will be attractive to the board.
Yes.
Build your career. Grow up in the career, understand, even volunteer, certain things so that you learn, right?
Yeah.
After you have amassed all of that, you need to build your profile. So you have everything, you have done it, but where is it on paper? Where is it,
Yes, yes.
So we often say to board members, when you're looking to join a board, you do not use the CV that you use to look for a job.
A job.
No, they are totally different. Totally different. You have to have what is called a board profile.
Yes.
That high-level summary of who you are, your skills in oversight.
Yes.
Not management.
Not,
we are not looking for a
here
manager.
It's not managerial
no,
skills.
we have managers. So
now
we
you
want
are
a board
going
member.
to be overseeing those who are
Absolutely.
managing, right?
Your leadership roles, your networks
Yes.
need to come out from that profile.
Yes.
That profile should be no more than 2 pages. If you can keep it to a page, the better. Because
Yes.
board members are busy people. You know, by the time you've read 2 paragraphs, you're
And you
tired.
have committee papers,
Yeah.
you have committee papers and board, the
Exactly.
full board papers.
Exactly.
And maybe you are sitting in more than one.
Absolutely.
And maybe you have
So-
a day job
Yes.
as a manager.
So when they're
Yeah.
recruiting, try and have that profile that is a 1-pager.
That you can share anytime.
That you can share
quickly.
anytime.
Yes.
So that is the other one. When board members are recruited, you have to ask yourself, there is this advert which has gone out. Does my profile speak to it? Because maybe the way you have written it, it is emphasizing oil industry
Yes.
and not banking. And it is
the
a bank which
opportunities
is
in banking
exactly.
industry.
So you have to tweak the profile. I'm not saying cheat. Tweak it to speak to
the role that is
the
available.
role
Yes.
which is available,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the second thing. The third thing is for you to get a board position. It's about networking.
Yes. You
They,
join
I
the
mean,
right networks.
Mary, a board position is not going to find you in your house unless you are among
And usually
the
they
usual.
don't advertise the way they advertise for jobs.
No.
Most of it is
It
headhunting.
is through networks.
Yeah, it's true.
So who knows about you, who knows you
And your
exist,
capabilities.
and your capabilities, and what value you would bring to a board.
Yes.
So network and network in the right places.
Place. Okay.
So network, before you
In
leave
the right places. I heard that.
Okay.
Okay, let me
Yes.
repeat.
Yes.
Network in the right
Absolutely.
places, not just
Absolutely.
anywhere.
Yes.
Now, the final one. Now, I have joined the board. What is the measure of effectiveness as a director?
So the measure for effectiveness for any director first is show up. Show up as yourself. Authenticity is critical for any
Yes.
board member. Don't try to be, like if you're a lady, don't try to be a man.
Like a man.
Don't pretend. Be authentic.
So I'm
Because-
not allowed to bang tables.
No, you're not allowed to. Who are
show-
you banging tables for? It's an adult relationship. Show up and be yourself. Why I'm
Yes.
emphasizing on that is because when you are authentic, when you are genuine, you're very confident.
You're more effective.
You're more effective. When you're not genuine, when you're not authentic, when you're trying to be somebody else, you focus so much on being that other picture, portraying that other picture, that you forget what you're supposed to do on the board. So be authentic. The third one is read your board papers.
Yes.
Read your board papers in advance. And don't be that board member who is always waiting to ask all the questions during the board meeting. If I've read my board papers today, the board meeting is next week. What stops me from sending the
Send
questions
an
to
email
management?
or a call.
Yeah.
What do you mean by this?
What do you mean
Why?
by
What
this?
happened here?
Exactly. So that they come also prepared to the board meeting. You know,
Yes.
Mary,
Or clear the question.
clear the question. There is a name that company secretaries use for board members, and let me disclose. Some board members might not know this. There are some board members who don't contribute very well on boards.
Yes.
Their only contribution will be, I support what Director Mary is saying.
Oh.
Or
I agree.
I agree. Or, Mr. Chairman, in these minutes there is a full stop missing after the word convent. Those ones we call Mr. Comma.
Can the
Or Madam
secretary
Full
be more
Stop.
careful?
Can the secretary be more careful and
Next
put
time.
commas? Those ones are called Madam Comma, Madam Full
Madam
Stop,
Full Stop.
Madam I support. when you're called those names, you're not effective.
I had
Because
a madam,
it means...
I had a Madam Comma once. when I was the company secretary.
Exactly.
It's painful.
That's
all I can say.
It's painful. So
painful.
if these minutes are missing a comma or a full stop, what stops me from sending an email to the company secretary a week before and telling her put full stops?
There's a mistake here.
Must
this word is missing.
Must I verbalize there's a full stop missing?
Yeah, that's
It's not value. It's not value adding. So it's how are you contributing on the board? What value are you bringing? Are you speaking up? Don't be that board member who doesn't speak.
Yeah, that no one wants to listen to hear.
Yes.
So now, just tell us, do you serve tea in the board?
No.
Okay, tell us about it.
I don't serve tea on the boards, and I need to tell you of an incident that happened. One time I was asked to serve tea to the chair of a board.
Who asked you?
The chairman.
Oh, he sent you?
He sent me to get him tea, and I told him, Madam Chair, by the way, there is something I have been wanting to talk to you about. Do you mind walking with me as I tell you about it?
Before you served the tea?
Walk with me as we go
To the tea place?
Yes. When we reached the tea place, I turned the cup of tea for him and I put it there and I start serving myself. Instinctively, he
started serving himself.
I don't have to say, I will not serve you tea. No, I don't have to. But it's a clever way of just saying, I'm here for a different reason. But let me tell you what, I can serve tea if I want to serve tea. Yes. I will not serve you tea if I think you have asked it in a way that says I'm here to serve
That's why
tea.
you're here.
Yeah? But out of respect, I might just decide, Chair, do you want a cup of coffee? And I'll serve it.
Yeah.
That is different. But when it is asked for in a condescending manner, then I will
Then
not serve
you will
it.
find a way of
But
not
there is
doing
nothing wrong with serving tea with the right connotations.
Yeah, because sometimes they will also serve you.
Because sometimes
and
they
it's
will
fine.
serve.
It's a gesture of friendship.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some women who complain or they feel like they cannot be heard. Maybe that's why they are quiet. So what would you tell them?
Yeah.
Those who feel like in a male, especially in the male-dominated board, as some of the boards are, maybe it's one woman, how do you get your voice heard? Yeah.
So the first thing is preparation. Your voice will be heard when we are sure you're adding value. If we are not, even me, if I'm chairing a board and I think you never ever add value, I will
don't listen.
call on
you. Don't give a
even if you put up your hand, we'll just be like, okay, let's moving on swiftly.
Yes.
The first thing, and this is a study that was done across the world, women are interrupted 10 times more than men. I tell the ladies, when you're interrupted, take back your power. And you don't have to do it in a fighter's way, yeah? Just take back your power in a very nice way, as I was saying. Don't say as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, because that's not nice. Yeah. Just say as I was saying.
And you're addressing the chair.
You're addressing the chair respectfully, and you take it back. When you add value to the board, there is something else about men. And this I was told by John Gumi. Men gravitate around power. What is that power that you have? The power you have is your expertise. Yeah. So if they can see that you are an expert in a certain field, they will want to hear you. So when you sit on a board, ask yourself, even as I contribute, is it a Madam Full Stop contribution? Is it a real
useful
issue?
Useful contribution.
Because when it is a useful contribution, they will not close the meeting
without
hearing you. The other thing is now the literal, they're not heard.
Yes.
I mean, if I am contributing in a board and I'm contributing in a voice that is so low, do you know, even the second time you will not be asked.
Or you have not read your papers.
Or I have not read my papers.
Yeah. No one will listen.
No one will listen.
It's true.
So it is how you position yourself on this board that allows board members to turn to you and to listen to you.
Yeah.
Including the company secretary, by the way.
Yes.
How do you carry yourself? Is your aura that makes board members listen to you? Or is it like you're just there taking minutes? If you have held yourself as being there to take minutes, they will not want to listen to you.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So, Catherine, thank you so much. I think we've really enjoyed the discussion. I'm sure you agree. We've covered so many areas. Thank you for sharing your life, including the early one.
Falling in the river.
There are few, yes, I will never forget. We are really truly grateful. So thank you for listening, for watching. My name is Mary Wamae, and this is the Executive Table. We've had a very, very interesting and very exciting conversation with Catherine Musakali, a governance expert, ESG, and also a lawyer by training, a proud lawyer by training. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah,
Thank you for having
sana.
me. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.